together, and Rich Tower was about 10 years younger, and so it really was kind of like a father and son. And during that concert with Beethoven, there was a part of that concert where Beethoven actually had not finished the part in time and told Rich Tower to just improvise, which he did, and Beethoven loved so much he left him in the presence of everyone, hugged him, and then sat back down. So there was a real kinship there. I decided in the book not to go into too much whether Beethoven was black or not, but I do refer to that Moore statement because it's just very, very interesting. There are secrets that can never unravel. I hope someone can.
Next question. Rita, it seems as if you have done this so well, you've left us without questions.
Not entirely. I loved what you said about how you always wish you could make Thomas Jefferson a footnote. And I'm always thinking about the fact that you're a professor of poetry at the University of Virginia, which Jefferson more or less founded. And I kind of imagine him rolling over in his grave just because he said such derogatory things about Phyllis Wheatley. And I was wondering if you think about that, or what you think about that, and whether you sought out the University of Virginia on purpose, partly because of that.
Oh, goodness. I wish I could say that I sought them out on purpose. Actually, they sought me out, and I thought, I'm not going to the South. And then I went there, and there were such amazing, it's a different place than it used to be even 15 years ago. And, well, longer than that. There were such wonderful people working in the English department and in other areas, and I must admit that I found it very, very titillating to be in a place where so many American myths meet. I mean, the quintessential schizophrenic person, Thomas Jefferson, I mean, this man was totally conflicted. But Jefferson, and then right down the road, you have the Confederate capital, and get right up the road, you've got Washington. This place is just kind of sizzling. That certainly played my reason for being there. I love Charlottesville. I love working there, but I also like the idea that Jefferson would not perhaps recognize his university.
We have a few more minutes before we...
Yet you and your husband were watching a movie and you saw someone that you could not have found him in the library. Have you aspired to put people in the library now that aren't there so that young people can go and explore and find out about people that we wouldn't find in the library?
Well, it's something that I really firmly believe in. I mean, the people who made a difference in my life are people who would not be found in the library. I mean, in terms of the people that taught me how to live my life from day to day, and how to father and community. All these people are really, truly the heroes of the world. Now, how do you get them in the library, whether it's a cyber library or a real library, is something that I am passionate about. That's all I'm just passionate about. You might have found British Tower in the library, but it would have been the British Library and not the American Library. It's kind of, when I was doing my research for him, and it's true, I saw the movie, they must have done the research. I started on the internet, but I ended up in the libraries. Because a lot of stuff is digitized, so how do you find this stuff? You have to go to the British Library and ask them to print something out and send it to you. Gosh, so great. But what really has always fascinated me is the way that everyday, ordinary people live in a world that is being documented, historically. We do it every day, every single one of us. And that's what life is really about. That's what humanity is really about. Documenting your life.
We have time for perhaps one additional question.
Rita, I lived in Akron, Ohio for a long time, and I met my lovely wife there. We had our first child there, and I probably arrived there during your latter years at Hutto High. So I was just coming from North Carolina when I got there. And I also worked at Goodyear, Tire Rubber. I was wondering, when I got there, I realized how unique Ohio was for African Americans. And I was just wondering if you could give us a feel for what your findings were after you left Akron that gave you some feel for the significant differences around the country and around the world.
That's a huge question, but it's a really interesting question. First of all, oh boy, I love it. Akron, Ohio. My father worked with me. Yes, Ohio is really what's interesting. Well, Ohio is of course the first is one the free state. And this is where slaves came across the Ohio River and you were free. Later on during the Great Migration, places like Akron and Cleveland, further north in Ohio, became places which offered jobs and people came there. And my family, in fact, came up from, my father's family came up from Georgia, my mother from Washington, D.C., and all these people meet in Ohio. And it is, a very, very interesting state for that reason. I found that racial, and I'm just going to put it out there, but that racial politics were the complications of racial politics were acknowledged. It wasn't really swept, at least in Northern Ohio. I can't really speak for Southern Ohio, Northern Ohio. And I found when I left Ohio that so much poorness up front. I think that's what it was. I went to a high school. My high school, we still have great reunions, but my high school graduating class was about 50-50 in terms of Caucasian and 50% others, mixed, Hispanic and mostly Black. And it sounds really corny, but we kind of got along. We got along because it was out in the open. It's strange. And I never realized that other people weren't out in the open. And I don't know. I got out of, when I got out of Ohio, I suddenly realized that there was a whole different world out there. I think it had to do with people coming to this state and leaving their homes and having to build a new home somewhere else. It's that immigrant mentality. So if everybody, but at the beginning of the 20s in Akron, Ohio, for instance, the men were coming so fast and furious to the rubber industry. That's what was there. That they would build these barracks for them, and they had to sleep in shifts, like 3 men to a bed. You had 8 hours. And the next, now that's an incredible influx of people, and quite a few of those people were Black and West Virginia, whites, the Appalachian. So, and that's a volatile, but they had to get along. They had to sleep in the same bed.
We want to thank all of you for coming, and Rita, we thank you for gracing us. So we invite all of you to go out and enjoy literature. Keep it alive. Thank you very much.
Hi, how are you?
I am a huge fan of yours. I've owned that book for 11 years.
No, you didn't.
I can't believe it. Would you mind if I had a picture with you? You're like my superstar.
And that was one of them, and that was how
Yes, I came to Akron in 1969. And then you went on to Miami.
Then I went off to Miami. But my parents from it, so.
When your father, when did you consider you? You had been there when I was there. Did you know Bill Brown? Bill and Shirley?
I know his name.
He was a chemist. chemist. Mel Brown was a chemist.
Oh, it's okay. I'm not like that. It is not. Now, this is.
John Stars, yeah. Earl Clinton. There's a second one. That's too much. This is too old. So I'm trying to